This time on Tunes and Tunes, we're relocating the battery and working on the fuel system. First, I think I see something. Shh. Oh, a genuine 20G compressor housing. Oh, bet this puppy spooled for miles.
It just needs seal. What's going on in here?
I'm hooking up.
Do you have the light? Here, can you hand me that light?
It's elsewhere.
We need more lights in here.
Wait, well,
They're on the bench,
we just haven't done it yet.
being safe. They're protected from the
More
elements.
back there.
Yeah, well,
This is. I'm just putting the battery on.
hand tight. That's what I always say. Just hand tight.
Yeah.
Because you know, all fires and cars, all of the bolts were put on to spec. It's a little sus.
Whoa! Look at this tool.
I'm right here.
So what we're doing here is shortening the factory fuel return line to accommodate our new fuel setup.
Yeah, so we wanted to run an aftermarket adjustable fuel pressure regulator to keep up with the fuel demands of the new setup, as well as simplify and clean up the fuel line routing. We have a good idea of how we want to route the fuel lines, but we'll save that for when things are a little more put together in the engine bay. Then we can see exactly where they need to run safely. The pressure regulator we chose is the Fuel Lab 6AN 535 series mini fuel pressure regulator, which is a great little regulator, nice and compact, keeping everything nice and clean inside the engine bay.
So now we're going to modify the bracket that came with the new regulator, drill a couple holes in the firewall, and install some M6 riv nuts to mount the bracket to the car. And it was all going great. And then Cooper decided to ask a very important question.
You won't even notice.
Oh, hey, is that in the way of the intake manifold?
Let's find out.
The answer is yes.
It might not be after we get.
Oh, boy. After some accusations and name-calling, we decided to remove the spacers and scoot the regulator down just a few inches, and that should solve all of our problems. All right, remove the all-too-expensive chrome spacers.
Chrome spacers.
Do it back.
Oh, do you need help finding anything?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, do you need
He
help
came up to
finding
me
anything?
3 times.
The same guy 3 times. Yeah, he does.
He's like, what do you need? I'm like, oh, I'm just looking for bolts. Which ones?
You know, the kind that have threads and a fucking
M4.
handle.
Well, I've got these and I've got these. Here you go. Which ones do you want? I'm still figuring it out, buddy. Oh, we got an engineer.
Did he really say that?
Yes. It was like, stop.
He called you an engineer?
Well, because I was saying I'm figuring out what I need.
Oh
That's what
my
I'm saying.
goodness.
Oh.
All right, Cooper, shut that off. Shut that off.
Don't like the groove?
Well, no, it's copyrighted.
truck.
All right, so we're gonna explain here what we did with battery relocation and the wires that go along with the power delivery for the whole car. So we start with the battery in the trunk. That's horrible lighting. Flashlight assist.
Flashlight assist.
It's pretty dark. So there's the battery. We've got a breaker right back here. We've got a breaker that the positive wire goes to. Right there. And then it travels along the chassis.
Adding a ground to the chassis back there.
Yes, we have a ground right here. Just to have a real nice ground in the back.
Comes up and through the firewall with the
Comes through the firewall, yeah.
the harness.
And then we have these battery lugs, kind of like junction blocks. And from there, the negative, we've got one that goes to the firewall, right here. Everything's black, Coop.
Yep.
To the firewall right there, which reestablishes the factory ground from the battery. One went to the firewall. And then the other one goes right here to the starter bolt, which is also how it was from the factory. Then for positive, we have this one here goes to the starter, like the factory. Then this one here goes to an inline 100 amp fuse, which then goes to the alternator, which is on the back of the engine. The reason for that breaker is because we didn't want to use the positive wire for the alternator that went through the fuse box and went through its 100 amp fuse here on the end, because those wires are old, the gauge is small,
And the length of wire that it's going to take due to the rewire. Since the fuse box is right here, normal alternator goes right here, we were going to have to extend it back anyway.
yeah.
And it just made more sense to do a clean run in the back.
Yep.
Brand new wire, perfect connectivity.
Yeah, so the last connection we'll have to do once we figure out where to mount the fuse box is the positive wire from the fuse box back to this terminal here.
Which again won't be very long because we're thinking about mounting somewhere around here.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
We can make it work. Just somewhere right around there. So we'll be able to make that run. And then we've got a couple more grounds coming in.
Yeah. So then on the alternator, to give it a good ground, we ran one from there to the firewall here. And then this will connect to the intake manifold once it's mounted. And that'll give us really good grounds everywhere. And this is nice 4-gauge wire, oxygen-free copper.
And we just checked our continuity, and we already had good ground to the starter, good ground to the head from this right here. But because all of our sensors and everything, you know, at the intake manifold, we wanted to just verify, no question, that we have good, solid ground everywhere.
Yeah.
We already have the wire. It took us an extra 3 minutes. Why not do it right?
Yeah, why not do it right? So the rest of the alternator relocation requires the 4-pin control over the regulator connector here. And instead of cutting and extending it from the harness that's normally over there, what we got was a couple of pigtails. We got a male and a female, and we're just going to make an extension wire. We're going to make a little extension harness. So we'll plug it in where the alternator used to be, and we'll run it back here in a nice and neat way, and sneak it in and plug it into the alternator. So we don't
having to cut into the harness.
Yeah, no harness splicing.
Jack with it.
Yep. Also, we snuck in a new knock sensor there.
Yeah, the old one was nasty.
Looks like we got some back of the engine block cleaning to do.
A little bit.
A little bit. Doesn't match the front very well.
No, not in the least.
No, the front looks good, but
we're getting there.
We're getting there. The electrical system is done.
Yep, just a couple more things to run into the cabin for sensors or gauges. But other than that, I mean...
Yeah, we've got a boost control solenoid to wire up next.
Yes.
All right.
In the next Snoopy video, we start mocking up a couple custom reservoirs.
And powder coating, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. completely forgot about the intake manifold and throttle body, didn't we?
Yeah, well, now we kind of got to run what we brung because we just hogged 2 holes in your car.